All right, well, welcome everyone. My name is Scott Morris. I am the Director of Business Development for GTS Distribution Gaming, which is a really fancy way of saying the game guy. And we're here with another one of our retailer to publisher webinars. This time I'm joined by Tom Wetzel, who is the marketing manager at Thames and Kosmos. Don't let it fool you. While he is beautiful, and if you look him in the eye too much, you'll fall in love. He is actually the brains behind the operations, not the looks behind the operations. So we're going to talk about a lot of really cool things today. Thames and Kosmos is one of our biggest partners. They're actually in our top 10 consistently, like every month and every year. And they produce what I jokingly said to Tom last week is kind of like the consistent track record of every year. Oh, the Spiel des Jahres got announced. Oh, there's another Cosmos game up for Spiel des Jahres. So they tend to have a pretty darn good track record with things. And we're going to talk about a few of those today and some upcoming things as well. We also have a new program to talk about, which I'm really excited about. And Tom will share some of that. So I don't want to steal too much of his thunder. As a reminder, if you are here live, you are welcome to ask any kind of questions you want. All you have to do is hover over your video and there's a little chat bubble at the bottom. As always, Tom, you don't have to worry about that. I'll manage that and kind of grab the questions as they come in and out and work them into conversation. If you're watching this recorded and it's on YouTube and it's past the date that we're recording, which right now is June 21st, 2021, feel free to leave a question below in the comments. We'll get back to you as soon as possible and get you kind of answers that you have. But I don't want to steal too much thunder. I'm going to take my face that was made for radio and let it be quiet. Tom, I will kick it over to you and let you get started. But before I do, retailers, thank you very much for joining. Really do appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you, Scott, and thank you, retailers, for joining me. This is a great opportunity to talk about some great games. Hopefully, we'll all get something out of this. Like Scott said, if you have questions, you can definitely type those in there, and I'll put my email address in there as well. I mean, GTS, you guys are great; they'll handle everything just fine. But just in case someone has a question directly for us, I'm happy to share that.
And just in case anyone hears any kind of like sirens or craziness, that's not the police coming to get Tom. That's just construction going on around him. That's it.
Yeah, and it really picked up today. So I apologize for that.
Of course it did, because we're recording. That's exactly when it should pick up.
Of course. Yep. Okay. So let's jump right into this. We got a few games to talk about. All right. And to begin, I kind of created a theme for this presentation, and the theme is kind of like how Cosmos games, we do great for hobby gamers, but we also have some great family games. So I'm going to kind of mesh those two together and let you know why we're great at helping with those sales. Like, we already bring in the hobby gamers for games like The Crew and Exit and so many other great games, but those are also great games for families. So help you convert some sales there, I think. Especially as the family gamers after the pandemic has just exploded, at least by our numbers. So hopefully they have for you as well. So we have strategy games, puzzle games, party games. Cosmos has a game that's perfect for any group of families or friends. And here's some of those titles that I already mentioned. Two of The Crew, Exit the Game, Lost Cities, Bongo, Drop It. And I've got 3 new games that I'm going to introduce you to today that will be on this list in the future as top brands. So the 3 games we're going to talk about today: Anno 1800, The Crew Mission Deep Sea, and Lost Cities Roll and Write. To begin, start talking about Anno 1800. This is actually based on a video game by the same name, super popular, millions of downloads. It's one of the most successful, franchises, because Anno is actually a series of games. This is, I think, the newest one in the video game lineup. So it's already got a good built-in fan base and market, but it's also designed by Martin Wallace, which, if you are a hobby board gamer, you're going to know that name because he has produced some of the best games on the top 10, 100 list of BGG. He's all over the place. So those 2 things alone, I think, are some great sales points. But it's also a game that's getting really good reviews because German editions have been available for a little while. So some people have taken those copies and translated and played them. And it's getting great reviews as a game that is good for intro, new to the hobby kind of gamers, like all these family gamers. Here's a little screenshot from one of the first ones that came out. And I love what he said here because it's true. And the intro, this is actually from the video called 3 games better than Catan, right? Which I don't want to, and it's great to be, connected to that, but I don't want to start any fights here. This is a great game though. He says, the reason I'm not hesitating to recommend such a rich puzzle and video that's aimed at people who are new to the hobby is because it's rich in complexity and not in rules. And that's very true. This game, it might look intimidating when I show you some pictures of all of the components. There's a lot in here, but it's actually a very simple game. One that I think would demo really well.
And it kind of lines up with the video game side of it. So for anyone that doesn't know, I love 4X games. Like that's my jam when it comes to video games. Like if I could spend the rest of my life doing Civilization or Humankind and things like that, like I'm down for that. And Anno is right in there. And Anno has done a little bit of everything. They've done, kind of, medieval stuff. They've done this 1800. They've done space. 1800 is the latest one, and it's by far the most popular one. That whole genre of kind of like 1800 to 1900 XX stuff is always very popular amongst gamers. But the video game itself is the same. It's a game that is deceptively simple. You're like, oh, okay, I just do this and I'm going to start growing my city, or I do this and I'm going to start growing my army. And then the decisions you make bring about that complexity, which is kind of the same thing as Efka from No Pun Included had mentioned, is that this is a very easy game to get into, but it's one that it will grow with you, so to speak, as you grow, which is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the reasons this game is actually so simple to pick up and play is because the cards, the iconography, everything is very clear. So you don't have to keep going back to the rule book. A lot of the stuff is on the cards and your little player board. So you know, like, okay, like I've got a red worker. How do I convert him up to, or no, green worker, how do I convert him up to a red worker? Like it says on the board, like pay this, get this. It's just very simple. And again, like all of these little cards have iconography on it, which is great. There is a lot there. It's a heavy game. It's actually like physically heavy, not mentally heavy. Physically, it's a heavy game. And here's some quick stats on it. It's a 2 to 4 player game, 120 minutes. Now, Efka in his review said much lower time, and I think that that's definitely the case if you played it a few times. But you could play it for 120 minutes, especially your first time. Although my first time I played it in under 90, but that was 2 players, so maybe there's some difference there. The MSRP, this is our most expensive game. It's $69.95, but like I said, it's got a ton of stuff, ton of components, and I think that people are going to pick that game up and be like, oh yeah, there's $70 worth of a game in there for sure.
You could exercise with it, right? You can just curl it. So. Yeah. We talked a little bit about this with our sales reps recently when Tom joined us for a sales webinar. And, as I mentioned prior to hitting the recording button here, we've had kind of a year of the moving target, right? Where there's been a lot of shipping and logistics challenges. I think it's good to point out, we have been in a lot of talks with a lot of publishers about what does the remainder of the year mean for MSRP. There's been not just the logistics challenges from shipping containers and availability and timing and just port throughput and being able to actually receive something physically, but there's also been the rising cost of components, whether it's wood or whether it's plastic. It doesn't really seem to matter in the world of board gaming. That stuff seems to be going up all the time. I've talked to a couple of partners just recently. From a container-wise position, they've been quoted almost 3 times what they were quoted a year ago in terms of cost. And in terms of component quality, they've had some games go up by almost $1 to $1.25 in cost, which if you hear that term, $1 to $1.25, that doesn't seem like that much. But obviously, if you've been to business school or if you've studied anything from an economical standpoint, generally every dollar of cost, you want to be able to have a 5X bring back when you're looking at an MSRP. So for every $5 it costs to make the game, you should be at about $25 of MSRP. So if you have a game that costs you, let's say $10, and you're giving that a MSRP of $50, and suddenly that game becomes $11.50 to make instead of $10 to make, suddenly there's a lot of margin that gets eroded there. And that's a lot of challenges. So I've made the comment last week that I don't think $69.95 is very expensive for a game right now, given the fact that there's things like Gloomhaven on the market that's $140, and things like Food Chain Magnate that's $125, and things like that do very well. I think that It's not so much a question of what is a expensive MSRP or not expensive MSRP. It's a question of what is the value that you're getting for that SRP. And like Tom was saying, with so much in this game and the ability to have it be something that the deep alpha gamers can dig into if they want to, or the casual new players that have played the video game or want to find something to bridge them in can also find value in as well. I think that lines up all really well. But I do have a firm belief that by the end of this year, the $50 games are going to be 60 and the $60 games are going to be 70. So this would not surprise me to be right in that ballpark of things as things come out in July and August.
Yeah, and I think, just for me, working with Cosmos, we always have such low MSRPs, and part of that is just because the European market is different, especially in Germany,
Sure.
where board gaming is definitely more of a family activity than it is here. That's growing here, but then in Germany, it's already a huge family. So we try to keep the prices very accessible and low. So, and I agree with you, Scott. I think like in the end, the price, it matters, but only so much as like if it's worth it, it's worth it. And this game is really great.
Yeah.
So,
and it does not hurt to have Martin Wallace's name attached to that.
No, it doesn't. All right, let's move on quickly to the Crew Mission Deep Sea. This game, it's a follow-up from last year's Kennerspiel des Jahres, which was the Crew Quest for Planet 9. So we're very excited about this. It's a standalone game. It's a follow-up, and it's got enough similarity that it belongs in the same family, even like with the same name, but it's different enough that those who have played one are going to want to play the other because they're just different enough. It's a trick-taking game, cooperative game. There's a lot of great selling points with this, especially for the families, because there's a lot of families that play games like Euchre and Hearts, and they're going to be able to pick this game up really simply. My family, they're not gamers necessarily, and when I took the first Crew home during a holiday before the pandemic, they picked the game up really quick, and we had a blast playing it for hours. So yeah, if your family or your group of friends, they play these games, this needs to be in your collection. And a great impulse price, $14.95. I feel like anyone who's in your store, if they even have an inkling to this game, they're going to pick it up and say, oh, $14.95. Yeah, it's a no-brainer. So, and this is just this game's only been available in German so far, so reviews are still coming in. Same with Anno, like the hype for it is just crazy, and it's like not even available in English yet. This is one of the reviews where someone took a German copy and played it, and said that this is a great step for the Crew as a series. And yeah, it is. It really is.
I always hesitate to use the word evergreen because it gets thrown around quite a bit in our industry. But I want to make sure the retailers know about this because I remember this story very, very clear in my head. It was actually the last Essen that I was at was Essen of 2019. And you had showed me the Crew. We had sat down in the Cosmos booth and you'd showed me everything. And then you saved this for last. And you were like, just look at the cards and find little hidden things in the cards. And like, we were talking about all the different, aesthetics of it. And then we started talking about the gameplay. And I remember you were very excited. And I remember walking away from it and telling Barry, my boss and my friend, I was like, this is special, right? This is something that could really kick in. When you look at some of the things that have really just absolutely exploded in the last couple of years, there are those games that can be that like $15, $20 price point that can really hook in a lot of different people. And then when I came back from Essen, of course, right after that is BGG-Con normally in Dallas. And I used to live in Austin, Texas. So it's a backyard thing for me, 2 hours to get to Dallas. And I remember going there and Eric Martin played this game, the Crew, the original game, like 50 plus times all weekend. And anyone who's never been to Board Game Geek, Eric is their media guy, and he generally does not do that. Like he generally will like not even play a full game of something. He'll generally just play something a little bit and then move on to the next thing, kind of hop around and cover a little bit of everything. And he just could not stop playing this game. And I remember I was like, that says something, right? Like that immediately says something very positive. And then, of course, the game came out and it did absolutely phenomenal. And it has just continued to do phenomenal. And it's a combination of everything. Very easy rules, combination of beautiful aesthetics. Like, it looks really cool. It's a little hidden things. Like, for anyone who doesn't know, like in the cards, there's like, sci-fi hidden little images and stuff, like a tesseract in one and things like that. Or I should say a glowing cube that just happens to look like a tesseract, because that's probably trademarked. But it's a really, really approachable game. And, we, having just moved myself from Austin to Kansas City, and now getting out of the pandemic and starting to kind of actually play games again with non-family members, this is one of the ones that we've leaned into in terms of introducing non-gamers to games. And it's been phenomenal. It's been so well received. So I'm personally very excited about Mission Deep Sea, but I think from a professional standpoint, I think it's going to establish the crew as what we've all known it to be already, which is a great selling game, but it's going to establish it as that line. And it's going to become something that for over a long period of time is probably going to do extremely well in stores, which is very exciting to see. So.
Yeah, we're all very excited about it. I'm actually privileged to have read through the rules, and so I know what this game is bringing to the table, and it is not going to disappoint. Some of my favorite missions, or if you're familiar with the game, some of my favorite missions in there are the kind of like the grander ideas of how the game plays, and that's what this one focuses on. So very much looking forward to this. It's definitely one to check out.
If you've never played the crew, it's probably really good to know this. I had a hand in Sheriff of Nottingham, which I used to run Arcane Wonders back in the day. And when that game came out, it did extremely well. It still has done extremely well. And I remember that a lot of the feedback we got was it took bluffing and made it the best bluffing you could make it. And the crew has really done the same thing from trick taking. There's literally thousands of trick taking games that are out there on the market, but the crew did it in a way that boiled it down to, this is focused on the minimum maximum, how can we do this the best, and how can we work together as a team to get this done, instead of me just trying to, hurt my neighbor and that's it. And that has been something that I think has really, really latched on to a lot of the fans, is that if you like trick taking, you're going to absolutely love this. But even if you don't like trick taking or haven't even played trick taking, it's so pure that it makes it super fun as an engagement thing around the table.
Absolutely, 100% agree. I think that it does do like trick taking better than almost any game I've ever played. I'm a huge fan of Hearts, but it also does a really cool thing in that it's got limited communication. So it's almost like it's not a social deduction game, but it adds that little bit of tension without the lying. So like you're always trying to like figure out, okay, like who's got the three? They can't tell me, but yeah, it's really fantastic. That's why I think it's such a great family game. I know it's already doing really well in the hobby industry. So
your next tagline needs to be, in space, no one can hear you collaborate. Right? That's funny.
Well, or underwater. So
underwater, yeah.
this one takes place underwater, where you're trying to find the lost continent of Mu. Your team, recognized for its great accomplishments in going in outer space. Now you're going to go underwater. So it makes perfect sense to me. But yeah, so great game. This should be an easy sell for just about any store.
And really well timed for leading into the latter half of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's a perfect game for this time of year. So it says on the box 3 to 5 players, but there's actually a 2-player variant, which I really like, and it does get really good reviews. So the back of the box says 3 to 5 with the 2-player variant. I think you can easily sell it to anyone as a 2-player game. Plays in 20 minutes, and you can honestly play it for 20 hours. I know I have. There's the item number. It's available in early August. So it did slip a week, which this year, that's really amazing. This is a high priority game for us, and so we're working
unbelievably amazing that it only slipped a week. Yeah, no, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, it was late July, now it's early August. And another great game that I'm really excited about, this is one, as soon as our press release went out during the beginning of the year, this is the one that I probably got the most response from, like influencers and like, people with YouTube channels and whatnot. So there's obviously a huge following for Lost Cities, the card game and the board game. And now we're doing Lost Cities, the roll and write. So this is the newest addition to the best-selling and award-winning series. This is Roll and Write. This is by Dr. Reiner Knizia. I'm a huge fan of his. I know there's a lot of huge Reiner Knizia fans out there that will buy just about anything he makes, and especially if it's like this. It's $14.95. So again, that impulse purchase price point. And I particularly like this game. I remember when I sat down and played the first prototype of it, I fell in love with it because I like one of the few other games I play with my family is Yahtzee. We play that because it's a simple game that we can sit down and play really quickly. It's not time consuming, and we all know how to play it because the rules are so simple. I'm going to compare this to that as far as like simplicity goes. The nice thing is that this game actually follows more of the Lost Cities kind of theme. You're not rolling for card hands. You're rolling to go on expeditions, which is really fun because you're competing directly with other people for certain goals. Also, similar to a lot of other like modern roll and write games, this one you're always playing. So someone else might be rolling the dice, but you're also paying attention to what they're doing because you can participate on every single turn. So there's no downtime. It's a quick game. This is going to be a great game for families for sure. Here's some quick info on it. Again, 2 to 5 players, 30 minutes. Yeah, that's about right. It could be a little less probably. It depends on how many times you've played it. And then this one's going to be available at the end of July, or sorry, early July.
And again, great price point in terms of, latter half of the year and leading into holidays and gifts and things like that. And you're right. Dr. Knizia is easily one of those, like, I'm a collectionist type mentality. I got to have everything that the guy does. And Lost Cities is one of those games, the card game. I don't think I know a gamer that shops at a friendly local game store that either doesn't have it or hasn't played it. Like, it's such a well-known card game in the community amongst people, and roll and writes have obviously been very popular. But there are a lot of roll and writes on the market right now. And quite frankly, in my opinion, there's too many roll and writes that don't have an identity. They don't have an ability to make a consumer want to buy them. Whereas with something like this, you've got the name of Reiner Knizia attached to it. You've got the brand of Lost Cities attached to it. You've got the brand of Kosmos attached to it, which most gamers know anyway. So that all kind of leads into a nice trifecta. And then you add in the fact that it's only $15. $15 to most gamers is kind of bottled water these days, which is really good. So that all leads to success in my mind.
I think this game has a lot of great potential as a game for families. So, yeah. All right, let's talk about the special now. This is what Scott alluded to at the beginning of this video. We're going to be running a special for the adventure games, the Grand Hotel Abaddon. That's coming out a little bit later this year. And we have a lot of faith in this game because, well, first of all, we have a track record with the adventure games, which are selling very well already. And those 3 of them already, this is the 4th. So we have a lot of faith in it for that reason. Also, I've played this, and it's my favorite one of them so far. I like spooky ghost stories, and that's what this one is. So I know that it's going to be just great for a lot of people. So I'm very excited about it. The special is, and Scott can jump in with some comments and answer questions, but if you pre-order 6 of the Adventure Games Grand Hotel Abaddon before July 1st, it's a guaranteed sale. We know it's going to sell. But if for some strange reason it doesn't sell, you can return it. That's the guarantee. Yep. I don't think that that's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen either, but it is a nice thing to have as a little insurance policy, which is good. So just to cover everything, you'll see some of the information there at the bottom in red. So like Tom said, if you pre-order 6 or more before July 1st with GTS, then you do have the option to return it. The returns are going to be available 90 days after the sale or after the release of the game. So that gives you 90 days to be able to sell through them. Again, very low SRP, $19.95. The adventure games have hooked a lot of the exit players, but it's similar box size. But I've always kind of described it as, while Exit provides you that escape room feeling, the adventure games kind of layers in that role-playing element, and it adds in a little bit more of a narrative story to it and things to more discover, I guess would be the right thing to say. And they have done extremely well also. In fact, I've seen a lot of retailers who have started using that exit stand, the display that has the ability to put the games in, where they'll have exit down one side and the adventure games on the other side, because they're the same size box on everything, which is awesome. But I know this has been available for pre-order already prior to making this announcement. So if you have orders in with your sales reps already, and you're close to that 6 number, like if you've ordered 4, you've ordered 5, it's a great opportunity to just bump up by a unit or two to get to that case pack of 6. And then if for any reason you don't sell them in that first 90 days, you have the option to return them and get full credit for them. As Tom mentioned, I don't think that will be an issue whatsoever. There is a maximum of 12 units that you can return. So it's not like you can go crazy and order 700 and then return 660 or anything like that. We try to keep this, geared and focused towards the brick and mortar community and what they are working on to, make gaming as successful as it can be. But I'm really excited about this because we have had some publishers do similar type things in the past, but they've always been very big games. They've always been games that have been like that 40, 50, $60 kind of range, which is definitely very helpful in terms of, financials and cash flow and things like that for retailers. But this is the first one that we're going to do that is a lower SRP game at $19.95. It's also the first one we're going to do with a much bigger, more established brand name with the adventure games. So I'm really curious to see how this all works out. But I think it's a great opportunity. One of the number one things when I talk to all of y'all as retailers, when I ask y'all, what can we do to help? What can we do to help? The number one thing I always hear is reduce my risk. Like, whether it's, change my terms or give me, better extension or give me the ability to return things, like anything that helps reduce risk is a great opportunity. And being able to know that, hey, if I'm already ordering 5, there's really no reason not to order a 6th if I know I can return it and I can get a couple extra sales out of things, which is really good. And again, great opportunity from a branding perspective. I know y'all have probably heard me beat the horse to death, but I always say, brands first and games second. And if you focus on the people that are the biggest brands in the industry and hitting more, singles, doubles, triples, and home runs than they are strikeouts, it's going to be a much better case than just trying to chase down the next hottest Kickstarter that doesn't understand the retail business or doesn't understand the distribution business. So this is a really good opportunity overall. And I'm pretty excited about it too. I like ghost stories as well. I think, any kind of like, Clue / Rocky Horror / kind of, haunted mansion kind of thing is super fun and everything. And the adventure games have already provided, just as good, but a different experience than what Exit has provided, that it looks to be really cool. Plus that cover is pretty sharp. It's pretty slick.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the cover and the name. Like, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's intriguing to me. Like, what's the Grand Hotel Abaddon? Reminds me of
Right.
an Anderson movie or something. If Wes Anderson made a ghost movie, right?
Yeah, the Grand Budapest Hotel Abaddon, right? That would be funny. So yeah, if you do need to take advantage of this, it's really easy. You can just place your orders online, and you'll be covered in terms of the units. If you need to get a hold of your sales rep, the sales reps already know about all this. So this was something that we're just announcing today for the first time, but the sales reps were all informed about it last week, so they'll be able to help you get set up as well. There's really nothing special you have to do from a retail side other than order the product, which is making it as easy as possible. So,
yeah. And thank you for bringing that up, Scott. Earlier, I, like Scott, want to help the brick and mortar stores as much as possible because I'm a huge gamer and I love my friendly local game store. So yeah, this is, I'm hoping everyone takes advantage of it because it's a great opportunity. And just to kind of go over some games that already came out this year from us, we have the Andor Family Fantasy game that came out earlier this year. That's in the Andor Legends of Andor like franchise, but it's for a much younger audience. The box says 7. I think you could go even lower than that because it's a cooperative game, and if your family plays games at all, it's a great game to add to your collection. So that's another one for families. Of course, Exit the Game is one of the best family games out there, I think, and we've got 3 that have come out this year. One of them that's more of a traditional one, which is The Gate Between Worlds. And then 2 new to our line is the Exit games with jigsaw puzzles, which have done phenomenally well. And I mean, I want to say that like we jumped on that bandwagon because we saw it was going to be popular. These have actually been in development for a very long time, for years actually. So they're they're thorough and thoughtful and great riddles. It wasn't just thrown together at the last minute. These are great games. So I think it's going to be great at introducing more people to the hobby because they're going to see this and wonder what's going on. And then also it's going to be a great game for those who already know about the exit games.
The puzzles have been super cool. I've had the opportunity to play through both of them, and it's not just one puzzle. It's actually multiple puzzles that are in the box, and each puzzle is kind of like a different chapter or a different part of the story as to how you're going through things. And the thing that really impressed me, and I don't want to give away too much, but the thing that impressed me is that I'm dumb. Like this was like the first exit one where I was like, whoa, I really need hints here. Like this is doing things that I haven't done before at all. But it was really cool the way that the puzzles were part of the story, but also it's not just about making the physical puzzles, but then those puzzles get utilized in specific ways as part of the solutions, which, and I don't mean just, oh, look at the picture and that's where it is. Like there's some really creative stuff in how those puzzles work, which is really, really cool. And both of those have done extremely well. I mean, the Exit series as it is kind of that is just a train that keeps on trucking, as I say, but these have been really, really cool to see.
Yeah, these are the higher MSRP, but they're actually physically much bigger as well. They're more than double the size, and you get quite a bit of playtime out of them because of the puzzles. I would say you get at least double playtime out of them, so it's a really good value too. And then a quick summary just to make sure, I like summaries because it reminds me of what we already talked about. Anno 1800, it's a rich game with simple rules, really a great game for families and for those who just want to get introduced to board games but already know the video game. The Crew Mission Deep Sea follow-up to the standalone, it's a standalone follow-up to last year's Kennerskildes Yaris winner. Can't say enough about this game. It's great. It's going to do great. We're very excited about it. Lost Cities Roll and Write. It's the fun new addition to the best-selling Lost Cities series, which Scott mentioned earlier. Every game store probably is already selling the card game to every couple that walks in the door because it's a great game. It's a great date game. Now we're going to introduce this to more families. And then the titles that have already been released: Exit the Game with Jigsaw Puzzles, Exit the Gate Between Worlds, and/or the Family Fantasy Game. All of these games should be easy family sales, in addition to your hobby gamers who are already coming in. And that's it. That's it for me.
Hey, that's a good caricature of you. That's awesome.
Today.
It's funny. One of the things that, like I mentioned at the beginning, Thames and Kosmos is one of our biggest partners. They're in our top 10. When you come and do webinars, Tom, there's not a lot of questions. You cover everything, which is awesome. Which is great. I think it also kind of lends itself to the fact that a lot of people are very familiar with the Kosmos brand, right? You guys have been around for a very long time. And if anyone doesn't know, and we don't really talk about this too much I hate to say talk about it on this show, but I mean, we talk about it. Kosmos is a much bigger company than most people know. They're a German-based company. They make science toys as well. They make a lot of STEM toys and kits and things like that. So they're not just board games, although we do tend to focus on more of the board game stuff, but they are a very, very big company, which is awesome. Tom just put his email in the chat. It's contact@thamesandkosmos.com. So that is a great way to reach out to Tom if you have any questions. Of course, you can reach out to me, and you can reach out to your GTS sales rep anytime, of course. Manuel had a really good question. Does Kosmos have a map policy? I know the answer to that, but I'm going to let you answer that.
We do. Yeah, we do. It's one that we don't really enforce through GTS, obviously, because you guys sell the games for us, and you can kind of, but yeah, we do, and we try to more than anything else, that's to protect us on places like Amazon, where we're going to get third-party sellers that are going to try and really undercut. So we will actually, go after those and try and keep our MSRP as high as it should be. So yeah, that's what we do have a map policy. If you have a direct relationship with us, and that's also more of for our toys and games, because a lot of our direct customers are because of our science toys.
Right.
So that's where the map policy probably is more pertinent. Yeah.
Awesome. And is that that's online, right? Linkable online? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can get that from Tom, and we can get that out to everybody so you have access to that for everything. So Cosmos is actually one of the games, one of the brands of games that generally, from my experience, we don't really run into a lot of online issues with. We have, yeah, right. That's funny.
That's not an
We,
accident.
we've got a vast amount of people that manage map in a different way, and I think we all kind of jokingly in the industry kind of there's map, but then there's really it's the Amazon piece, right? Because Amazon is such a wild west, as is Walmart.com right now, which is kind of crazy.
Oh, yeah.
But it can be pretty challenging to manage map from that perspective. But when it comes to people who are contacting us saying, hey, do you know anything about the seller? Do you know what's going on with this? Like, we really don't have a lot of Cosmos things that come up, if any at all, which is really, really good. So that's great to see.
Yeah.
Awesome. So just as a reminder, again, there is a little bit of a short window on that Grand Hotel Abaddon pre-order because that is July 1st. So it's just about under 2 weeks, about maybe 13 days right now. July 1st is next Thursday. So again, all you have to do on that is pre-order online or pre-order with your sales rep. As long as you order more than 6, you can return up to 12, 90 days after release. And again, low SRP price point like that, just all works out to be, less risk and more success for you guys, which I think is going to be a great thing. So, and as a reminder, just in case anyone may have joined a little bit late, I am not going to be here the rest of the week. So today is Monday, June 21st. I'm out. My daughter's getting married. So yay, exciting. I'm going into debt, but I'm very happy about going into debt. So it's all good stuff. But I really appreciate everybody taking the time to join. Tom, thank you very much. As always, your conversations are succinct. They're to the point. You get the high points and all the good stuff, and just really good amount of games that are very exciting. Derek just asked a quick question: more than 6 or 6 or more? Sorry, 6 or more. Yeah. So a case is 6. So if you order 6, you'll have returnability. The reason we do the maximum 12 is like what I mentioned earlier, is that eliminates anyone from kind of going crazy and ordering like 70 or 100 and then only selling through 20 and trying to return 50. Right? We want to make it more manageable for a brick and mortar store, and more realistic for a brick and mortar store. Right? There's not a lot of brick and mortar stores that are going to order hundreds upon hundreds of a title at release. Over time, yes, but it's we want to make it more manageable. So yeah, a case is 6, so 6 or more, and you'll have returnability. So hopefully that'll get you covered there, Derek. So cool. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I will let you have a great week in your stores. Tom, again, thank you very much. Retailers, have a great week, and we will see y'all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.